Angeles, San Francisco, Denver, Seattle, and Philadelphia. In New York, and I believe this was the image that Jeanette provided us with, in New York, 110,000 packed Union Square. Suddenly, the vast arm was attacked by 25,000 police. Hundreds were beaten to the ground at night, 6 scores trampled, charged with amount of police. The police went as insane as they had 56 years ago when they clubbed the unemployed in New York Town Square. It is a movement that establishes its presence as a dominant thing in the whole of society. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, millions of people in motion. That's the kind of movement that's necessary to have the impact. That's the kind of movement. Hundreds of thousands of people. The point that, and as the workers fought back, the ruling class was real clear that they were threatened. Threatened to the point that they thought that the revolution that was being experienced everywhere all around the world, they thought was coming to the United States. And that they were prepared to, they responded to one of 2 ways. Some prepared and tried to advocate for fascist dictatorship, to crush the workers' movement, which was the alternative taken in Japan, in Germany, and Italy. Another range was the course that was pursued by FDR. But that's the Unemployed Council. In 1935, CIO emerges from the AFL and captured the energy of the masses and fight back through the organization of the trade union movement, through industrial organization. And that what made it significant and important was the volume, the numbers of people who were drawn into motion and had, through the experience of confronting the oppressor, learned how to fight, with whom to fight, who were friends, who were enemies. Important experience. FDR initiated the New Deal, series, which from 1933 to 43, series of federal programs as a response to the Great Depression. WPA, Work Programs Progress Administration. Civilian Conservation Corps, which was an employment program for youth to restore forests, parks, etc. National Industrial Recovery Act organized the competition amongst the capitalists so that they don't destroy the system in fighting for their individual greed, and to organize relations between labor and capital. So the important thing with that, one important thing for our purposes was passage of the Wagner Act, National Labor Relations Act, that authorized, allowed for unionization and the right to strike. Those rights came under attack, and as we know now, hardly means anything. But these programs, the Agricultural Adjustment Act, the Emergency Banking Act, this is FDR's attempt to save the system from the capitalists themselves, because they all feared that the society was actually on the verge of revolution. The WPA was the most extensive, ambitious of the New Deal programs. Some 8 million people eventually were employed through the WPA. Employed for construction of bridges, public buildings, arts projects, media, literacy projects, distribution of food, clothing in needy areas in the city. Big opposition to WPA by the ruling class was that they thought that it was introduction of socialism. To a certain degree, they were right. It's like being able to see over the hill as to what possibilities there are for a bright future. Although this is not a transfer of class power, so it's not socialism. The significance for Afro-American people, by 1938, 45% of Afro-American families were either on relief or WPA employed. We currently have a situation where amongst black males, 16 to, what's the number? It's up. Well, 16 to like 40. It's like 50% unemployment rate now.
WPA? What is this?
Yeah.
Workers
So the conditions of depression exist in part of some sectors of the society, but not in everybody. So the potential, it talks about the potential for us to draw on our experiences from the past, and it also points to that we can do it, because it's been done before. Some lessons, briefly, I want to hit to what I drew out of some of our experiences from the 30s. Organization of the unorganized. Essential and necessary to build the fight back. Yet in order to put the masses in motion, we got to have the organization. And that's, we got a weak trade union movement, that has to be revitalized. But likewise, with the extent of unemployment and history of unemployment and systemic unemployment and no contact with unions, for example, in the black community, we're going to need other organizations like the Unemployed Council to, as part of the process of organizing the unorganized. Unity and solidarity, absolutely essential, because the enemy is going to try to divide us in order to conquer us all. The struggle, we have so many fronts of the struggle, but they all are united, and that has to be part of our program, that we need mutual support and solidarity. It is only the solidarity that the unemployed workers were able to forge, that enabled them to win, to fight and win without being divided by the rules. Talked briefly before, and just reiterate the necessity for critical mass to be a credible threat to our enemies, and in order to be able to escalate the tactics that will move them off the dime, by which we can extract concessions. We can only do peaceful demonstrations now because we don't have enough people in motion. We can only agitate and not attack because we don't have enough forces that'll make us strong enough to break the bourgeois law without us being victimized. We've got to build the critical mass enough that their laws mean nothing. Their laws against mass picketing, their laws against sympathy strikes, they mean nothing because we have forces of the numbers. And that must be the tactical principle upon which we build our movement. Reliance on the strength of the masses of people, and the strength of the masses of people is in their numbers. Not that we're the smartest, not that we're the prettiest, not that we got the most legal incense, but the numbers of the masses of people marching together in the same ranks and in the same file. We got to develop national scope of organization. You see the example of the Unemployed Council and the CIO. Strengthen the workers' movement tremendously. Mass education on the nature of the problem, the character of the enemy, who are friends, who are enemies. Popularization of the Fight Back program. We must raise these demands everywhere to everyone all the time. Everywhere, all the time to everyone. Few tactics that the enemy has employed in our historical struggle. First and foremost is force and repression. The reason I say that it might seem obvious, but some of us suffer from illusions about the nature of the game. Some think that the police won't beat us because they haven't. But if we look at the history, 25,000 police in Union Square attacking 100,000 protesting workers. Flint, Michigan, in the Ford plants. I didn't even get to talk about the private armies that were built up to fight the process of organization of the workers, whether it was in the unemployed movement or whether it was in the struggle of for the CIO and of the CIO unions. But They spent millions of dollars buying shotguns, gas guns, employing, I'm finished. Time is tight, I'm almost out. We gotta be on mind for subversion. An example, I can't pull it out now, 1934, they spent $80 million on spies. Understand that the enemy, when we are a threat, the enemy will come amongst us to divide us, to report on us, to victimize us, to decapitate us of our leadership. This pretty good. I mean, this gets pretty good. United never be defeated.
All right. We're gonna open it up now for questions and/or comments. If there are questions, the panelists will respond after everyone's been given an opportunity to speak, and then when we're done with that part, we're going to break and we're going to have food and some performances.